Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. And today we'll be discussing the NCERT exercise for the chapter Biodiversity and Conservation. This is the disclaimer. So let's understand the objectives of today's session. So today we'll be understanding and we'll be discussing the basic concepts related to the chapter Biodiversity and Conservation for working through the NCERT exercises. So these questions, they are based on certain concepts. So we'll discuss these concepts by discussing these NCERT exercise questions. Okay, so today we'll be discussing the NCERT exercise questions for the chapter Biodiversity and Conservation. So let's begin with the first question. The first question is, name the three important components of biodiversity. For more information, you can read NCERT section 13.1. Okay, so let's have a look at the answer. Okay, so let's understand what is biodiversity first. So basically, biodiversity is the variety of life form present on Earth. Okay, it is the number and type of different species present on Earth. Okay, so simply, biodiversity is the variety of living forms found in different ecosystems. Biodiversity highlights the richness of life on Earth, encompassing different species, their genetic differences, and the diversity of ecosystems they inhabit. Now, biodiversity includes variability among life forms from all levels of biological organization. Okay, so there is a lot of diversity and differences present across all levels of biological organization, from individual organisms to entire ecosystem. So the diversity or the variety, it is present at each level of biological organization. Okay. So it tells us that life forms exhibit a wide range of characteristics, structures, and functions, reflecting the complexity and variety inherent in biological systems. Three important components of biodiversity are genetic diversity, species diversity, and ecosystem diversity. Let's talk about them. First, let's talk about the genetic diversity. So this refers to the variation in genes within a single species. It represents the range of differences in DNA among individuals of that species, which can influence traits such as appearance, behavior, and resistance to diseases. Next one is species diversity. This refers to the variety and abundance of different species present in a particular region. It measures how many different species exist within an area and how evenly they are distributed. Then ecosystem diversity refers to the variety of different ecosystems present in a specific region. It highlights how multiple types of ecosystems such as forests, wetlands, grassland, and deserts can coexist within the same geographical area. Now in the image you can see variety of life form present on the earth. So this is known as biodiversity. So it encompasses billions of different species of plant, animals, and fungi and microorganisms. Okay, along with the diverse ecosystem they inhabit and the genetic variations within them. Okay, so around 1.9 million species are currently identified. Scientists estimate there could be 8.7 millions or even up to 30 million different species on Earth. Next question, how do ecologists estimate the total number of species present in the world? Let's have a look at the answer. Now, Earth is home to an immense variety of living organisms, showcasing a wide range of species, each with unique characteristics and adaptations. This vast diversity reflects the complexity and richness of life on our planet. According to the estimate by researchers, it is about 7 million, which refers to the approximate number of species that may exist on Earth. Okay, though this number is an educated guess and can vary based on different studies and methods used to estimate biodiversity. Ecologists use statistical methods to estimate the total number of species on Earth. These methods involve analyzing data from unknown species, patterns of biodiversity, and environmental factors to make educated guesses about the number of species that remain undiscovered. Now, these scientists first compare species richness between temperate and tropical regions using well-studied insects group as a reference. So what does scientists do? They compare these species richness between temperate and tropical regions using well-studied insect group as a basis for the analysis. So they use insect group, okay, as the basis for the analysis. So they are using insect group as a reference. They are studying the species richness of the insect group. Now, these comparative ratios, which are initially derived from specific groups such as insects, are used as a basis to make broader estimates. These ratios are applied to other plant and animal groups in order to approximate the total number of species that exist on the Earth. This process involves using data from known groups to infer the likely diversity within less studied or unknown groups, thereby providing an overall estimate of global species richness. In this image, you can see this image is representing global biodiversity proportionate number of species of major taxa of plants, invertebrates, and vertebrates. So you can see here the global biodiversity. Okay, you can see the variety of life forms here present within the invertebrates, vertebrates, and the plants. Okay, so these are the major taxa: plants, vertebrates, and invertebrates. And within these taxa, there's a lot of biodiversity. Next question, give 3 hypotheses for explaining why tropics show greatest level of species richness. Okay, so let's have a look at the answer. See, so scientists have put forward 3 distinct hypotheses to explain why there is a greater species diversity in tropical regions. So first one is solar energy and productivity. Now, the tropical regions near the equator receive more solar energy than temperate regions because the sun's rays hit the earth more directly there, leading to higher temperatures and more sunlight throughout the year. And this supports diverse plants and animal life. So, this leads to high productivity and high species diversity. Okay, so the ecosystem will have high level of productivity and it can support a greater number of different species, leading to high species diversity. Okay, so the ecosystem like tropical rainforest, where abundant resources and favorable conditions are present. So these ecosystems allow many species to coexist and thrive, resulting in a rich variety of life forms. Second one is environmental stability. Now, in tropical regions, the climate remains relatively stable throughout the year with little change in temperature and rainfall, which creates a consistent environment. Now, this stability supports a wide variety of plant and animal life, as organisms can adapt to and thrive in these conditions that do not fluctuate much. Unlike in temperate regions where seasons bring significant changes, so tropical regions they show less seasonal variation, whereas the temperate regions they show significant changes in the seasons. Okay, so tropical regions are relatively stable throughout the year as compared to the temperate regions. So this stability gives the organism or species time to evolve. So this promotes the niche specialization and thus high species richness. Okay, this is clear. So now as you can say the tropical region, they are more stable or they are relatively stable as compared to temperate region. Then this will promote niche specialization. Clear? And it will thus also promote high species richness. So this specific niche leads to a greater variety of species within that niche. Clear? The third one is evolutionary time in speciation. Now, during the Ice Age, temperate region experienced glaciations, meaning they were covered by ice sheets and glaciers. This period was characterized by significantly colder temperatures, leading to expansion of ice across these areas. The glaciations had a major impact on the landscape, climate, and ecosystem of the temperate zones. So again, you can see temperate regions, they were subjected to glaciations. Okay, and there is a lot of seasonal variation also in the temperate region. Now, at the same time, the tropics have stayed largely unchanged for a very long time. For millions of years, they have remained stable, they have remained unchanged. So, this suggests a level of stability in these areas. Okay, so tropical region, they are stable. Why they are stable? Because of the consistent climatic conditions. The climatic conditions are also stable, they are not changing. Clear? And there are no major disruptions in the tropical regions as compared to the temperate regions. So again, this has given more time for that species or for that organism to evolve. Okay, so this allowed for a long evolutionary time for species diversification. So the conditions present in the tropical region, okay, or the circumstances present in the tropical region provided an extended period, enabling natural selection and genetic variation to lead to emergence of diverse species. Next question, what is the significance of the slope of regression in a species area relationship? For more information, you can read NCERT section 13.1.2. Let's have a look at the answer. Now, the slope of regression, denoted as Z, plays a crucial role in determining the species area relationship. It indicates how the number of species increases with the area sampled. A significant slope suggests a strong and consistent pattern in the relationship between area and species richness, which is essential for understanding biodiversity patterns and ecological processes. Now, in smaller area, the slope of the regression line for the species relationship remains fairly consistent, typically ranging between 0.2 and 0.1. This suggests that the rate at which species richness increases with area is similar across different taxonomic groups and regions when examining small-scale patterns. Now, when analyzing larger areas, the relationship between the variables becomes stronger as indicated by a steeper regression slope. This suggests that the pattern observed in smaller areas is more pronounced and consistent when considering broader regions, with the effect being significant across a range of values from 0.6 to 1.2. Okay? So we can say when a similar analysis is done in larger areas, then the slope of regression is much steeper, which is around, or it is between 0.6 to 1.2. Okay? And the value of Z for the smaller areas, when you are analyzing smaller areas, it is around 0.12, or it is between 0.1 to 0.2. Okay, so in smaller areas, the value of slope of regression is similar regardless of the taxonomic group or the region, and when you analyze a larger area, then the slope of regression is much steeper. This is clear. So this is an image showing you species area relationship. Now, a species area relationship graph shows that species richness increases with increasing area, but at a diminishing rate. So initially it will increase, and then the rate will start diminishing, and ultimately it will level off. On an arithmetic scale, this appears as a curve that rises quickly and then levels off. So you can see in this image, you can see a rectangular hyperbola here at the arithmetic scale. But when plotted on a log-log scale, the same relationship appears as a straight line. So on a log-log scale, you can also see you are getting a straight line here. Next question, what are the major causes of species loss in a geographical region? So let's have a look at the answer. See, biodiversity, as we know, is a variety of life form present in the various ecosystems. So there are a wide range of species from plants and animals to microorganisms across various habitats. Now, the following are the major causes for the loss of biodiversity around the world. First one is habitat loss and fragmentation. This refers to the destruction and division of natural habitats, which reduces the available living space for animals and plants. Now, human activities such as deforestation, mining, and urbanization destroy and alter natural habitats, which are essential for the survival of various plant and animal species. Now, these activities lead to loss of biodiversity, disruption of ecosystem, and imbalance in nature, ultimately affecting the environment and human life as well. Now, fragmentation of habitats into smaller pieces disrupts animal migration patterns by creating barriers that prevent animals from moving freely between their breeding, feeding, and sheltering areas. This can lead to reduced genetic diversity, increased risk of local extinction, and imbalances in ecosystem, as animals may not have access to sufficient resources or be able to escape predators. Okay. Yes, so due to habitat fragmentation, what is happening, especially you can say, they are disrupting the animal migration patterns as well. So what is happening due to habitat fragmentation? This creates a barrier that prevents animals from moving freely between their breeding, feeding, and sheltering areas. The fragmentation reduces genetic exchange between the population as well, leading to species decline, because when habitats are broken into smaller isolated areas, individuals from different groups can no longer meet and breed. So this limits the movement of genes between populations, reducing genetic diversity. Lower genetic diversity makes species less adaptable to environmental changes and more vulnerable to diseases, which ultimately leads to a decline in population size and can result in extinction. Okay, so this is an image showing you habitat loss due to deforestation. Okay, let's continue the discussion. Next one is overexploitation. So this refers to the excessive use of natural resources beyond their ability to regenerate, leading to their depletion and harm to the environment. Okay. Now, excessive hunting and overuse of plant and animals by humans put many species at risk of extinction, as their populations are reduced beyond recovery, disrupting ecosystems and reducing biodiversity, which is essential for a balanced and healthy environment. So, excessive hunting and exploitation of plant and animals by humans threaten many species. Now, this unsustainable practice has led to numerous species becoming endangered. So, many animal and plant species are in danger of disappearing. So, they are now being called as endangered species. So, this happens because humans are taking more than what the environment can handle, leading to loss of habitats and reduced populations. Now, some species like the passenger pigeon have become extinct due to over-exploitation. Next one is alien species invasions. Introduction of non-native means the alien species into a new habitat disrupts the ecological balance by outcompeting native species for the resources. So these non-native species, they compete with the native species for the resources. Okay, they can also bring a lot of diseases and they alter the food webs. They can introduce diseases, as I said. They can change the habitat structure, and thus this will reduce the overall biodiversity. Okay, and this will further lead to economic harm and ecological instability as well. Now, these invasive species, when introduced into a new environment, can harm native species. How they are harming the native species? By outcompeting them for essential resources like food, water, and shelter, or by preying on them directly. For example, introduction of the Nile perch, which is an alien species, into Lake Victoria in the 1950s, serves as a classical example of invasive species devastating impact on local diversity. As a ferocious predator, the Nile perch consumed the lake's native cichlid fish, leading to the near extinction of over 200 cichlid species and a major disruption of native ecosystem. So this is an image showing you Nile perch, which is a non-native species. It is an alien species in the Lake Victoria. The next one is co-extinction. Now, in an ecosystem, all living organisms or species are linked together in a complex web of interactions such as feeding, competition, and cooperation, which help maintain the balance of the environment. Now, these relationships ensure that energy flow and nutrients cycle through the ecosystem, supporting the survival and growth of different species. Now, when one species becomes extinct, it can trigger the extinction of other species that depend on it. This happens because many species are interdependent in ecosystem, like how plants provide food for the herbivores, which in turn feed carnivores. Clear? If a plant species disappears, the animals that rely on it for food may also vanish, leading to a chain reaction. Now, a classical example is how the extinction of a host species leads to extinction of the parasite. So parasite is totally dependent on the host. It is absorbing nutrients from the host. So if the host species gets extinct, then the parasite that is dependent on this host will also get extinct. Next question, how is biodiversity important for ecosystem functioning? So what will be the correct answer here? Let's have a look at the answer. Now, biodiversity is important for ecosystem functioning. Let's understand this. Okay, so it is essential because it ensures the different species work together to maintain the balance of nature. Okay, through pollination, by maintaining soil health, and by controlling pests. Okay, so when an ecosystem has a lot of biodiversity, it means there are many different species living together. This variety helps the ecosystem stay balanced because if one species decreases or disappears, others can take over its role, keeping the system stable. So, a richly diverse ecosystem is more resilient and less likely to be disrupted, maintaining ecological balance. In a food chain, different organisms are linked in a hierarchy based on what we eat, forming trophic levels. Producers like plants make their own food using sunlight. Then primary consumers like herbivores eat the producers, followed by secondary consumers like carnivores that eat the herbivores. And finally, top predators at the highest level. Now, these connections help energy transfer to the ecosystem, supporting life at each level. If any one organism or all organisms at a particular trophic levels are killed, it can disrupt the entire food chain because each level depends on the one before it for energy and nutrients. For example, if all the producers like plants are destroyed, there will be no food for the primary consumers like herbivores, which in turn affects the secondary consumers like carnivores. Now, this imbalance can lead to a collapse of the ecosystem as each organism play a vital role in maintaining the balance of energy flow and nutrient cycling. Example, is, so in a food chain, plants are the primary producers that make their own food using sunlight. If all plants are killed, there will be no food for the deer, which are herbivores, and they depend on the plants for nutrition. Without plants, deer will eventually die of starvation, showing how interconnected all organisms are in an ecosystem. Okay. And then again, if all the deers are dead, soon the tigers will also die. Okay, therefore, we conclude that in an ecosystem with high species diversity, there are many different species at each trophic level, which means there are multiple food sources available for each organism. This variety helps maintain a balanced ecosystem because if one species declines or disappears, other can take its place, ensuring the food chain remains stable. It also supports more complex interaction and increases the resilience of the ecosystem against changes or disturbances. Now, when an organism has access to different food sources, it can survive even if one particular food becomes unavailable. Okay, clear? Now, next question, what are sacred groups and what is their role in conservation? Let's have a look at the answer. Okay, let's understand what are sacred groves. So, sacred groves are protected patches of forest land that are preserved based on religious beliefs, often found in tribal and rural areas where local communication safeguard these areas out of cultural and spiritual reverence, which helps in conserving biodiversity and maintaining ecological balance. Okay, so basically, the sacred groves, they are the protected patches of the forest land. And why they are being preserved? They are being preserved based on the religious and cultural beliefs. Okay. So you can say tribal people, they basically worship the plants and the biodiversity present in these areas. Okay. Now they are considered sacred spaces for both trees and wildlife. Okay. So here in sacred group, both trees and wildlife are treated with great respect. Clear? So the practice of protecting sacred grove is a form of traditional community-based conservation found across many cultures globally, including in India, West Africa, and Japan as well. Now, the sacred groves are established and maintained near the temples, shrines, and other places of the worship. Okay, this is a common tradition in many cultures, including in some parts of India as well. So these grooves, these sacred grooves are not just for decoration but are considered sacred and are often cared for by the community as a form of religious and environmental responsibility as well. Now, complete protection is given to all living beings within these areas, ensuring their preservation. Okay, now let's have a look at some of the examples of the sacred groves. So, first one is the Khasi and the Jaintia Hills in Meghalaya. They are the part of northeastern region of India and are known for their unique hilltop ecosystem. These hills are characterized by the dense forest, rich biodiversity, and distinct tribal cultures. The Khasi Hills are home to Khasi tribe, while the Jaintia Hills are inhabited by the Jaintia tribe. Now, these regions are part of the Eastern Himalayas, which is a biodiversity hotspot as well, supporting a wide variety of flora and fauna. The hills have a subtropical climate with high rainfall, contributing to the lush greenery and the presence of numerous waterfalls and rivers. Next are the Aravali Hills in the Rajasthan. They are the range of ancient mountains that form a natural barrier in the state. They are one of the oldest mountain chains in India and play a crucial role in the region's geography and climate. These hills influence the local weather patterns by causing rainfall on their windward side and creating a dry area on the leeward side. They also provide important mineral resources and support diverse ecosystem, Okay, let's talk about the role of sacred grove in the conservation of the biodiversity. So, sacred grove help in the production of many rare, threatened, and endemic species of plants and animals found in that area. Now, the process of deforestation is strictly prohibited in these regions by the tribals. The next, so sacred grove, biodiversity, okay, is maintained by the local people there, by the tribal people. Clear? So, because of the religious or cultural significance, the sacred grove has a high level of biodiversity, meaning it contains a wide variety of plant and animal species. Because all the, you can say, endangered, rare, and endemic species, they are being preserved, okay, by the community there. Next question, among the ecosystem services are control of floods and soil erosion. How is it this achieved by the biotic components of the ecosystem? So they are talking about the ecosystem services here. And then they are asking how is this achieved by the biotic components of the ecosystem. Biotic component mean living components of the ecosystem. So let's have a look at the answer. See, the biotic components of the ecosystem include living organisms such as plants and animals. These organisms, they carry out the various life processes such as nutrition, respiration, excretion, growth, and reproduction, and they also respond to stimuli. So they are the biotic components of the ecosystem. Now, plants, they play a very important role in controlling floods and soil erosion. So plant help control floods and soil erosion by holding the soil together with their roots, which prevent the soil from being washed away during heavy rains. Their roots also improve soil structure and increase water infiltration, reducing surface runoff that can lead to floods. These leaves and stem of the plant, they also slow down the rainwater, allowing more time for the water to be absorbed into the ground, which further reduces the risk of flooding. Now, the roots of plant hold soil particles together, which help in preventing soil erosion and maintaining the structure of the soil. This is important because it allows the soil to retain water and nutrients, making it easier for plant roots to absorb them. Additionally, the roots create spaces in the soil that help air move through, which is essential for roots to breathe and grow properly. Now, the top layer of soil is protected from being washed away or blown away by the wind or water, which helps keep the soil healthy and prevents land degradation. The roots of plant help make the soil porous by creating small spaces as they grow through the soil. This porosity allows air and water to move more easily through the soil, which is important for the growth of plant roots and the activity of the soil organisms. Porous soil also help in preventing waterlogging and ensures better root development, supporting overall plant health as well. The porous soil has many tiny spaces between the soil particles which allow water to seep into the ground easily. This process is known as infiltration. And this helps groundwater recharge and reduces the amount of water running over the surface. As a result, porous soil help prevent floods by slowing down and reducing the flow of rainwater, making it an important feature in managing water resources and reducing flood risk. So hence, plants are able to prevent soil erosion and natural calamities such as floods and droughts. They also increase the fertility of soil and biodiversity. Okay, here. Next question. The species diversity of plant is 22%, and this is much less than that of the animals, which is 72%. Now, what would be the explanation to how animals achieve greater diversification? Let's have a look at the answer. Now, the reason for greater diversity of animals than plants are: first is mobility. Animals can move actively on their own, which help them find food and avoid danger from the predators. This ability to move is important for their survival because it allows them to explore their environment, hunt for prey, and quickly escape if they are in danger. So, this movement is a key feature that distinguishes animals from other living organisms like plants, which are generally stationary. Now, the ability of the organism to relocate help them find new environments, which allows them to explore different areas and adjust to various climate conditions. So this adaptability is crucial for survival, especially when their current habitat becomes unsuitable due to changes in the temperature, food availability, or other environmental factors. By moving to more favorable conditions, they can continue to thrive and maintain their population, which is an important concept in understanding how species interact with their environment. The next one is complex nervous and sensory system. The nervous system in animals is a complex network that allows them to sense their surroundings, like seeing, hearing, and feeling things, and then they react in the right way, such as moving away from the danger or finding food. So, this system helps animals survive by making quick and smart decisions based on what they experience in their environment. Now, enhanced sensory capabilities allow animals to better sense their environment, helping them spot dangers, find food, and communicate with others, which makes them more successful in surviving and adapting to their surroundings. Let's continue the discussion. Now, what are the reasons for greater diversity of animals than plants? Let's understand this. First, okay, we are talking about this. Third one is diverse physical adaptation. Now, animals have developed different specialized body parts like fins, wings, and legs to help them move in various ways, such as swimming, flying, or walking, which allows them to adapt to their specific environment and survive effectively. Now, these physical adaptation help animals live in specific environment and take up special roles in their ecosystem, allowing them to survive and succeed in their unique habitats. Next one is exoskeleton and structural support. Now, many animals have special outer coverings like skin, scales, or shells, which help protect them from the environment and from being eaten by the predators. These structures act as a barrier, keeping their bodies safe and helping them survive in their surroundings. Now, the development of supporting structures like bones and exoskeleton has allowed animals to grow in different shapes and sizes, helping them adapt to various environments and ways of life. These structures provide strength and support, enabling animals to move, survive, and thrive in diverse habitats, which is a key aspect of evolutionary biology. Okay. Now, next one is ecological roles. Animals play various important roles in an ecosystem, such as eating plants, which are the primary. Okay, so they are the primary consumers. Primary consumers are basically herbivores. They hunt other animals and they act as secondary consumers, or they are at the top level and they act as top predators. And they control the population of other animals, helping to keep the ecosystem balanced and healthy. Now, this diversity in feeding strategies has led to increased specialization and species diversity within animal groups. So we can see animals have developed different ways to get their food. So either they can feed on plants or they can obtain nutrients from other organisms. Okay. So we can say that animals have developed different ways to get their food, which help them become better at surviving in their specific environment. And because of this, species within animal groups have become more specialized, leading to a greater variety of species, which is known as species diversity. Next one is energy requirements. Animals need a lot of energy to survive and stay active, so they have developed smart ways to find and get food efficiently. Since they cannot store enough energy like plants do, they must hunt, forage, or scavenge to meet their high energy demands. Now, this pushes them to use strategies like hunting in groups, storing food, or adapting their diets to ensure they get enough energy to live and grow. Now, these energy needs have driven the evolution of various hunting and foraging behaviors across animal species. So, we can say animals have developed different ways to hunt and find food over time because they need energy to survive and grow. Now, these behaviors like hunting or gathering evolved as a result of their need for energy, and these habits, okay, or these behaviors help them adapt to their environment and improve their chances of survival. That's why they are also diverse, because they have evolved certain behaviors, they have evolved certain, you can say, strategies or some kind of organ that help them to adapt to their environment, and hence increasing their chance of survival and then to diversify. So here in this image you can see the diversity or the variety of life form present on the earth. Clear? So here you can see most of the part is occupied by the insects. Okay, then you have other animals as well. So animal kingdom is occupying most of the, you can say, space here. Means there's a lot of diversity in the animal kingdom as compared to the plant kingdom. Plant are restricted to a small proportion here. Then you have algae. Okay, you have protists as well, and you have fungi. Okay, and you have monerans as well. So you can see there is more diversity in the animal kingdom as compared to the diversity in the plants. Clear? Next question, can you think of a situation where we deliberately want to make a species extinct? How would you justify it? Let's discuss this question. Now, the deliberate extinction of a species is generally considered unethical because it leads to the loss of biodiversity, which is essential for ecosystem balance and human survival. Now, each species play a unique role in its environment, and their extinction can disrupt the food chains, reducing genetic diversity and impact ecological services like pollination and soil fertility. Ethically, humans have a responsibility to preserve life and maintain the natural balance. Okay. Now, making an intentional extinction of a species, okay, this is unethical. Okay, this will harm environment as well as the future generation as well. In some cases, making a species extinct may be considered morally acceptable, in which case, such as when the species poses a serious threat to human health or safety, or when its survival is not possible despite conservation efforts. Now, this idea is sometimes discussed in biology, but it is a complex and debatable topic, as extinction usually means the loss of unique life forms and biodiversity, which is generally seen as harmful to the environment. But in some cases, like when that species poses serious threat to human health, then it can be eliminated. Now, this justification primarily applies when the species presents an essential threat to human life or entire ecosystem. So this we have already discussed. So the species can also only be made extinct, okay, when it is posing threat to the human life or entire ecosystem. Okay, they are posing a serious threat to humans or the environment. Then the special actions are taken to control or eliminate that species. So such species like invasive animals or plants can harm human health and destroy native species as well. And they can disrupt the ecosystem. So managing them is necessary to protect both people and the environment. Now, successful eradication of the smallpox virus is a prime example of justified extinction because it shows how human efforts through vaccination and global cooperation can eliminate a harmful disease forever. benefiting public health and saving millions of lives. Okay, so why was smallpox virus removed? So because it removing that virus saved countless human lives. Now, this particular extinction was beneficial to human health while causing minimal disruption to the natural ecosystem. Okay, so this is was the end of the exercises. I hope all your concepts are clear. So with this, we will end this session. I hope this session was quite knowledgeable for you. We'll meet you in the next session. Thank you very much for listening.